Okay, this is not working. Not working, not working. Well. Without any further ado, welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, global happiness specialist, inner peace practitioner, oracle, but most importantly, a student. Just like all of us. I don't pretend to be any different, any better. It's just that I prioritize and make a commitment to this thing called happiness. And when I say happiness, I'm talking about a energy, a personal vibration of contentment that never leaves, that just doesn't disappear when the world hits you with the proverbial baseball bat to the back of the head. Shout out to the Dodgers. Congratulations. Whew, no, and so I've been having technical difficulties. I even got a message today that yesterday's show, the show that I do with my son every Saturday morning, it's called Mother and Son Making Sense Out of Nonsense Plus More, that the audio was going in and out. So bear with me. I'm just a one-woman show right now. I'm live on my YouTube channel. If you're listening on Noon Vibe, I'm live on YouTube. You can go to Rebecca Norrington and see me in my baseball hat. And then also I'm supposed to be live on Blog Talk Radio, but they're having technical difficulties today. Go figure. A lot of electricity, a lot of energy, a lot of powerful. I could just feel it. Is it a full moon yet? Anyway, thank you for being patient, and thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting the show. I get a lot of emails, a lot of new listeners. How do they find me? Who knows? But I appreciate everyone that's listening. I appreciate you subscribing to the YouTube and just sharing. That's it. Let me just go over a few housekeeping items before I get into today's topic. And today's topic was thought about. You know, I've been on this happiness special, searching for being interested. Scratch that. Being interested in this thing called happiness. What is the truth about happiness? For decades, and it's over 45 years. And I started off just for a few people that may have never listened to me before. You remember when you blow out the candles on the birthday cake and you make a wish? Well, I always wish for the same two things. I wanted to live to my potential, and I wanted to be happy. And so this happiness has been a lifelong obsession, commitment, research, classes, reading, all of it. And in fact, this year I published, I'm not going to say a masterpiece, but I did publish finally after years, and I'm holding it up now. It's called the latest book that I authored. It's called Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. And it's a series, it's one of 5. Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. And it is on Amazon right now, on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and Lulu, Lulu. This journey has been inspired by my son, which now he's 39 years old, but don't tell anybody. And I'll be 69 next month. Oh my God, please, somebody save me. 69 next month. And when my son was younger, he was, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old, and he signed my name to his report card. And my best friend, he's still my best friend, by the way, my best friend told me, well, that's your fault. My fault? How is that my fault that my son signed my name on his report card? Well, he said, because he can't come to you. He knows how you're going to react. He knows he knows you, and he knows that he doesn't want to he doesn't want your, I don't want to use that word, use that word is too much. He doesn't want to hear it. And I get it. When I was younger, I don't know about you, but I couldn't tell my parents everything. I couldn't tell my parents anything, hardly anything. I knew what to tell them and I knew what not to tell them. Anyway, so when he signed my name on his report card and my best friend told me that it's my fault, I immediately, something snapped, the aha moment. Something snapped and said, you need to change. I wanted to have a relationship with my son, a relationship that I did not have with my parents. I couldn't tell my parents probably 60% of what I was experiencing, what was happening. I mean, I couldn't go to them for counsel. I already knew what they were going to say. I wanted something different I wanted a different type of relationship. And so with that came motivation for me to change, motivation for me to grow, motivation for me to be the type of person that my son could come to me with anything. Now, great. I don't want to hear about naked yoga. I don't want to hear about, there's so many things. I don't want to hear them. But because I've created this environment of listening without judging. Oh boy. Let me go back. My point is that one of the biggest gifts, I believe, one of the biggest gifts you can give someone is the ability to listen without judging them, accepting a person without judgment. And trust me, it always starts with the person in the mirror. It starts with me. It starts with you. Hey, Jay, for 15 years. Oh my God. Oh, 15 years. Yeah, I've had listeners for 15 years. Am I that old? Yes, I am. Anywho, where was I? So back to changing and that being the motivation, my son being the motivation. But with all of that, I come to find out that this happiness thing is a practice skill, like any other skill. It's a practice. And when I say happiness, because there's so many people that just don't even like the word, happy is fleeting. No, when I'm talking about happiness, I'm talking about something that lasts, something that stays, something that is permanent. It is scratch that. That is foundational. That foundation rooted in contentment. With all of that, I've had my own journey of having a preference. And when I talk about Program for Unhappiness in the book, I list 56 program behaviors that have been proven to subtract. And inevitably, I'm challenged. No, scratch that. Inevitably, when the world challenges me or people challenge me, and when I say me, I'm talking about the Rebecca me, it is more than a notion to do something, behave in a different way than I always have. And so that is part of the programming is I behave in the same way all the time. There's no room to deviate. There's no room to come up with an individual choice. If I'm programmed, I'm going to behave the same way all the time. When I get stupid questions, I'm annoyed. However, let's go a little bit deeper. Undoubtedly, this, especially if you're living in the United States. If you're living in another part of the world, I get it. But in the end, I do have global listeners. Shout out to all my listeners outside of the country. And this evolution has been slow to evolve. It has been a process, and it's been a lot of patience. When I grew up, my parents were, voting. Yes, you have to vote. And they had a specific side. You always vote. You're not old without judgment. Thank you. To always vote this one particular way. And it's not even important what side. And I was indoctrined, and I was programmed to yeah, that's the right side. I mean, brainwashing works, especially, to a youngster. Conditioning, brainwashing, programming works. And over the years, I've changed positions. I'm not going to say why. I just changed positions. And back in the mid 2000s, I remember writing an article that actually was published in my first book, Reality Spirituality: The Truth About Happiness. I believe I published it in that book. And it talked about, was it the 2016? Must have been the 2016 elections. No, you know what? It was just an article. I don't think it was published in the book. It was an article that I wrote. And it was about how to be at peace when it seems like there are just two distinct sides. Maybe there's more than two, but there's just two distinct sides, always fighting, always conflicted, just back and forth. You're wrong, pointing the fingers and why they're so evil, pointing the fingers at the other side, why they're so evil, on and on and on. It's ongoing, at least in my lifetime. Did I say I was going to be 69 in less than a month? Yes. And so in all of that time, there's always been this conflict. And I will give you an example when, this is really off the wall, when O.J. Simpson was the first trial, when he was released and not found guilty of a double homicide, your friend, Rebecca, was so passionate about having a side and knowing what side was right that I excommunicated everyone in my life that believed the opposite. Everyone that thought that OJ, is my hat on crooked? My baseball hat on crooked? Oh, there it is. There it's straight. I'm wearing a baseball. I just haven't combed my hair out. I just haven't combed it out. Anyway, I digress. I remember, and this was in the 90s. Yeah, the trial was in the late 90s. I didn't talk to people that I talked to for years. And that's the type of passion or the type of the digging into I'm right, they're wrong mentality. And it's the same thing with these elections. It's the same thing. And I'm including myself. Yes, I have yes, I have a side. However, what has happened over the years, especially because I have just committed myself to this contentment ride, this contentment, this peace, this happiness, it is a commitment above all commitments. And again, if you're listening on Noom, you can ask to join the stage. And I'm also live on my YouTube channel, which is Rebecca Norrington. Now, I'm having a lot of technical issues today, so I'm not live on Blog Talk Radio. For some reason, I'm not able to connect. So there's no number to call in today. But if you are listening on Noom Live, you can ask to join the stage. Back to, and I'm using myself as an example as to my own evolution with this having a preference and choosing a side. It's the same as having a cause, whether it's global warming, animal rights, you name it, recycling, you name it, having a cause. It's the same energy. Number one, that energy is always that those thoughts and those stories behind it are always, this is important. This is serious, which are both programs. Having the energy, having the thoughts, having the story, and believing this is important, this is serious, will subtract from your contentment every single time. There are no exceptions. Since I've made the commitment, and it is years, decades of decades, I have softened, and I use that word softened on digging in so deeply. In other words, okay, the other side won, and I'm not going to kill myself. The other side won, and can I relax about it? And it is in the book. So this particular, I actually took bits and pieces from the book, Program for Unhappiness, and customized it for this election. What to practice before and after election results. And this is only if you are interested, committed, prioritize this thing called peace, happiness, and contentment. If you don't care about it, if it's not your number one, I get it. Tune out. What did I say in my son's show? It's a show to tune in so you can tune out. Let me start with the topic. What to practice before and after the election results? And see, it even comes back to the happiness, the contentment, the inner peace has nothing to do with any external circumstances. How I feel, what I vibrate, what energy am I emitting has nothing to do with external circumstances, has nothing to do with what somebody said to me, has nothing to do with what I'm experiencing, none of it. And in fact, let me just let you in on another little quick behind the scenes. If you've listened to me, you know that back in 2018, after my mother died, I found out that she gifted the family house to her handyman. You've heard it a million times if you listen. Her handyman. Well, it's 6 years later. My mother died. Her anniversary was October 29th, 2018. 6 years later. 6 years. I'm holding up 10 fingers. 6 years later. And I am still in a legal battle with the attorney, Sean Tanko, who happens to, I found out he used to be the probate commissioner in Clark County, but he's not anymore, according to Google. However, still in a legal battle. Tomorrow is, and it's gone all the way up to the appellate court. And tomorrow is the deadline for his documents, Sean Tanko's documents, to be sent to the court, his opposition to my appeal. You know, 6 years ago, I couldn't battle enough. 6 years ago, I couldn't fight hard enough. 6 years ago, I wanted him to burn in hell for a little bit. It's that blaming Sean Tanko, blaming someone else for how I'm feeling, blaming the circumstances for how I'm feeling. Now, if I'm up here saying I'm a happiness specialist, inner peace practitioner, I better walk it. And here we go with today's topic. Happiness, inner peace, and contentment are all practiced skills. And like any other skill, the more you commit to the practice, the better your results. So the question is, are you ready to prioritize the energy of happiness, peace, and contentment over everything else, including who wins this election? And only you can answer that. And only your answer, and your answer is going to determine how much contentment you are going to experience before, during, and after the election. There are 3 levels of program behaviors that I've listed, and this is specific for this election. Are you ready? When I say these are program behaviors, these are the behaviors to eliminate or practice eliminating. And you are going to swim through this, you are going to glide through this election regardless of what the results are. And I'm already rolling my eyes here because I'm talking to my ego. And in fact, just last Wednesday, I teach the Truth About Happiness classes at UNLV and to the senior group. And in fact, one of my students raised his hand and he said, "Hey, what are you doing having a side in the first place? Why do you even have a side? You're this happiness specialist. Why do you even have a preference?" And I told him, you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. But like everything else, I haven't mastered anything. I'm practicing. I'm practicing letting go of preferences. I'm practicing letting go of having a story about this country. I'm practicing just like you. Remember what I said at the beginning of the class? I don't pretend to know everything about this topic, but I definitely practice what I share. So level 1, we talked about it earlier. These are program behaviors to eliminate, or at least let's talk about this, because we only have a few days. What do we have? 3 days before the election? So you can't eliminate all of them, but just put a, in fact, if you need to have a piece of paper and a pencil or pen, get them ready. If you just practice being aware of these programs, I guarantee that you will experience more peace. Here we go. Number 1. This is level 1, number 1. Blaming the election. Blaming the results of the election for how you feel. That's a program. Thinking that the results of this election are going to affect your energy, your vibration. That's a program. Number 2. Trying to control or thinking that you have any control over any person or anything other than in the mirror. And even that, you know, I had a conversation with someone the other day about free will. Even that, letting go of thinking that you have control or that you can control. Control is a cancer. Control is the thing of controlling is another program. Complaining. Half of you out there, especially if you live in the US and you care about the election or you care who wins, half of you are going to be, I'm just throwing out the number half of you are going to be very disappointed. And one of the things that I share, and this is scientifically proven. I know I said that once and avoided. I get backlash. Scientifically proven. There is one way to eliminate all disappointment and all heartbreak for the rest of your life. And what is that? Eliminating all expectations. I expect nothing to come out of this lawsuit. I don't expect the attorney to have his license taken away. I don't expect to get my inheritance that's been 6 years coming. Not only mine, but the family also. There's other beneficiaries. So it's 6 years. Letting go of all expectations and complaining. This complaining, scratch this. Complaining is another program. And also complaining is food and fuel for your ego. And whatever you feed it and whatever it's fueled by, guess what? It gets stronger and stronger. And then to identify with this entity that is not you, that is not me, I'm not my ego. To identify with it is all it wants. So no, I'm not going to complain either way. It is a softening over, what is 1960, almost 10 years of softening. I am not going to watch or listen to the morning, afternoon, or evening news. You know how I'm going to find out who won the election? I'm going to wake up. I'm going to wake up the next day, turn on the television, turn on the radio, and say, oh, that person won. Next moment. Worrying, and especially with this, all worry is in the future. The present moment is where life is found. In the future is thinking about the future, worrying about the future. Future worries is just another program. Future and unfounded fear. You know, this thing of, I just know that this is going to be horrible, and all of that may happen and may play out. But what I'm talking about, the individual vibrating an energy of contentment. And you can do that regardless of what is happening. And I'm just gonna share a story. And this nothing to do with religion. This is a story. Let's see, what was his name? Hold on a second. Very famous. Everybody, it's just not coming to me now. Oh, that's right, Jesus. One of my favorite stories is, he's on the cross, nailed to the cross, and this guy in his calm, he's not yelling, he's not angry, he's saying, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. With the calm, cool. You see, I mean, you can't get any more stressed out. You can't get any more. I don't even know what the word to use. Than being nailed to the cross, and then now you're teaching and saying forgive them while you're in physically tortured. That is an example for how all of us, not just some of us, all of us can get to that point. And in fact, I can even give more examples. There was a shooting. I know this is a happiness show, but there was a shooting of children. It was Amish. It was the Amish, and this was maybe 15 years ago, maybe longer. And so this psycho went in and shot these school kids, probably 10 of them, 8 to 10 of them, killed them, execution style. And the Amish, what they practice is forgiveness. And they even went to this, you can Google it, they even went to the funeral of the man that murdered their children. You see what I'm talking about when I'm saying transcending? And transcending doesn't happen overnight. Growth doesn't happen overnight. It's just small steps, but awareness is key. And the desiring to transcend and the wanting to transcend and practicing. Yeah, can you believe that? And there's plenty more examples. I'm just giving you extreme examples to say that human behavior is not dictated by a program. You can transcend your programs. How about this one? Needing to be right. Oh, that's a tough one. That was a tough one for me, this needing to be right. I have to say there's maybe a little bit of of remnants. However, I am so quick. It is so easy for me to say, you're right now, even if I don't agree, or even if my ego doesn't agree, even if I have a different perspective, a different side, it's so easy for me not to hold on to this needing to be right. You can have it. Be right. Be all the way right. And with all of that, when I talk about 10 years ago, it comes from growth. And growth is not celebrated. Growth is, I don't get a trophy. We don't get trophies. We don't get Super Bowl trophies. We don't get Grammys, Tonys, and Emmys for growth. We don't get, what was it just the last World Series trophies for growth. But I'm here to tell you, celebrate and give yourself props. And maybe that's going to be something coming up. For even the smallest, scratch the small, what seems small. Because see, the ego will say it's small, but what seems small. No, the growth is real. And who I was 10 years ago is not who I am now. In fact, who I was last month is not who I am now. And that's how growth is. Once you get on that growth train, it is never ending. There's always something to do. You're never bored, I promise. Okay, so getting back to the election results. Here we go. Whether your side wins or whether your side loses, wanting someone else to think what you think is important is important. Wanting someone else to think what you think is important is important. Because quite frankly, and I'm going to throw this out. Oh boy, don't hate me. I got my hands up in the air, gesticulating. The word of the day yesterday, gesticulating, got my hands in the air. Thinking. Okay, there's a gentleman. His name is I think it's David Anka. He channels an entity called Bashar, Bashar. You can Google him. Look, plenty of YouTube videos. And one of the things that this entity said, which really just take a knife to my heart. This is all a dream. All of this shit is meaningless. I get it. You're human. You want find meaning, find purpose, but it'll be over in a flash. I'm almost there. It'll be over in a flash. And all of it is just thoughts and stories and meaningless. What do you mean meaningless? Legacy. Their legacy. Even the what the world used to call the greatest men. What is it? My best friend was telling me Genghis Khan. He's more of a historian. Genghis Khan, supposedly world leader, emperor, owned all the land, king of kings, whatever. And now he's just the Genghis Khan is a menu item. My point is, it's a program to believe. Oh, I hate saying this, but it is a program, and it's from the ego. It's my legacy. Thinking that you're building a legacy, you're going to be forgotten. You're going to be forgotten sooner than later. Anyway, okay, let me get back to the list. The election, before and after. Now I've turned off most of the people in the audience that leaving a legacy. Good luck. Noticing, you see why I don't have any friends? Noticing what someone else is doing. Okay, wanting someone else to think what you think is important is important. I used to think and believe that everybody wanted to be happy, and that was important. And come on, no. Everybody isn't interested in this contentment. They're just not. There's other things that they find more important. And letting go of thinking that whatever you think about the country, whatever you think about a politician, your way of thinking about it, know that it's coming from your ego, and know that it's just one perspective. I had a conversation. No, I'm not going to bring that up. I know. Anyway, okay. Sharing bad news. How many of you cannot wait to get on the phone or talk to someone and share bad news? There's going to be a lot of that either way. And so having the perspective or being programmed to have a perspective that something's good, bad, all of it is a judgment. All judgments subtract. All expectations, we already talked about it. I have zero expectations for this election. I have zero preference. Well, it's not that I don't have a preference, but if scratch the preference, I have a side. And if that side doesn't win, it's going to be absolutely not even a blip on the radar. And it's not going to be a blip on the radar, but 10 years ago, it was a blip. 5 years ago, it was a blip. And now at this stage, I already know who's in charge. God is in charge. The universe is in charge. Source, higher power, creator, whatever you want to call the creator of all of this. There is a plan that I can't even comprehend. Couldn't even imagine with this little ego pea brain. But the practice is to trust that everything is in order, including believing that the United States of America is doomed if blank wins, if blank gets in office, believing that the United States of America is doomed if so-and-so gets in the office. And I have to say that even this country has a destiny. All of us have destinies that we're living out. Every single one of us. And I don't know about you, but I haven't been able to stop, start, not make it slow down, speed up my destiny. It's going to unfold perfectly. And if you're saying, and if you say, well, I make things happen. I do. I make it. If I didn't do anything, nothing would happen. I get it. And I practice all inspired action. There is no action that I take unless I'm inspired. And I mean, it's to the point where inspired action happens all the time. However, if I'm not inspired, my ass is not doing anything. Oh, yes, that getting over that label of being lazy. I was called lazy when I was young. Oh, it was my mother's favorite word. You're lazy. You're a procrastinator and lazy. And I've learned to embrace both of those. Yes, procrastination just means lack of inspiration. Okay? Lack of inspiration. And the other, lazy, thank you. That's a compliment. I appreciate it. Okay. Having expectations. Having an attachment. Here we go. Having an attachment to an outcome. Having an attachment to an outcome. That's with anything, not only the election. That's just with life. Having an attachment to a person, having an attachment to an outcome. Let it go. Living in the past, living in the future. This living in the future and having future fear is such a program. It's always, the ego does not want to live in the present moment. Okay. Having a judgment. Allowing your ego to dictate your words and your behavior. Here we go. How about this one? Having hate, disdain, or dislike for a politician. Having hate, disdain, or dislike for a politician. And I'm only talking about, the presidential candidates here. You could throw in all of them, but the presidential candidates. And usually it's really interesting. There's not too many people that I've met that are neutral about this. And the truth is that living in neutrality, living in a neutral state, there's a lot of contentment in that. Doesn't mean you don't have to take action, doesn't mean that you can't march, doesn't mean that you can't campaign, but can you stay in a neutral state where regardless of what happens, you are vibrating neutrality? And when you vibrate neutrality, scratch that. When I vibrate neutrality, I am open to more than what my ego wants me to be open to. I'm open to hearing other sides. I'm open to hearing other perspectives. I'm just open. So the practice is to live in a state of neutrality. This is another program behavior. Having a sense of urgency that something needs to change now. The people that when their side isn't going to win, this one's going to come in. This one's going to be right around this one's going to be right around the corner. Having a sense of urgency that something needs to change now. Except for real danger. Real danger, that's an exception. But this urgency that something needs to change it's all generated by the ego. Now, we got to change it now. And growth can happen instantly. Growth can happen quickly, but usually growth takes time. And change takes time. I already told you, 10 years. Waiting, this energy of waiting for something to happen or waiting something to manifest in order for you to feel good. Waiting for something to happen in order for you to feel good. No, the feel good is right now, right in this moment, without the stories and without the thoughts. You are not your stories. You are not your thoughts. I am not my thoughts. I am not my stories. I am not in control of my thought. Listen, if I was in control of my thoughts, my head would be empty. I wouldn't have any thoughts unless I'm creating something. But empty. The ego occupies the ego's existence depends on me identifying with it. Here we go, level 3. This is going to be very helpful. If you're serious and you want to be, how can I get through this election and still be calm and peaceful and happy and content? How do I do that? Well, here we go. This is level 3. And this can go for an election. This can go for a medical diagnosis. This can go for a relationship. Thinking anything is serious, thinking anything is important. It's just another program. You can still be, what did they say? Hold on. Let me think. Hold on. Oh, what is the word? And I'm a loss for word. I have no excuse. Benefit to society without that energy of this is serious. This is important. Change now. Do something about it now. You can do all of it without that extra energy. I already talked about having preferences, resisting the present moment. Well, whoever wins the election, there's nothing that I can do about it in the moment. Rigidity. If you are rigid, if you have that program, if you are programmed to be rigid, which is the opposite of being open, you are going to suffer. Rigidity. I mean, if you look at, if you're talking about trees, the willow tree blows and flows, and then the other trees that are stuck rigid, they're the ones that are going to get blown down in a storm. But the trees that can bend and sway, I'm really making up stuff now. That doesn't even it does make sense, but I don't even know why I said all that. Anyway, forget the tree example. Trees, even though I think I might have a point there. Now let's get to what we can do. I talked about all of the program behaviors. Now let's talk about what to practice. Guest waiting. Let's see. I look down. Let me see who this is. Hold on, guest waiting. Peter Carrington. Come on, join the party. Okay. You are live. Hello. Oh no. Let's see. Let me try it one more time. Peter Carrington, let me try one more time. Okay, guest is joining. Guest is joining. One of these days, I'm going to have 10 people, no, 5 people as a crew. Guests waiting. I'm having technical Oh, and so see, I get this message. It says, guest has left the talk. Choose another one. I've had technical difficulties yesterday and today. Hopefully, maybe next week. Let's see. Well, I'm not able to. I tried twice. If you're still listening, you can try again. I will look down at the phone. Okay, let's talk about what to practice. What to practice. Oh, let me try one more time. Guest waiting. Beep, 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 beep. Guest is joining. Guest is joining. 3, 2, 1, join. Hey, it worked.
Persistence pays off.
That's so funny. Well, thank you for joining, and I appreciate you comment. I saw your comments in the chat, so thank you for joining. Welcome to the show. What say you?
Thank you. May I call you Becca, because I feel like I know you, and I'm calling you Becca as I'm listening to you make your points, and as I'm cheering you on from this side of the mic and on this side of the planet, so to speak.
Well,
Rebecca's fine.
You know what? Let me say this. I'm not one to have. I could care less what you call me. You call me 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You call me Becca, Rebecca, Becky, anything. You can call me whatever you want. So whatever you want to call me is going to be fine. Becca, yes. Let's go.
Okay, then I'll call you the Oracle.
Oh.
So, as I'm listening to you speak, and you're just dropping such sound wisdom, I think to myself, like, if we can all, if I could like put you on those so-called political sides of those stages in the forefront as a keynote speaker, well, I'm not so sure people would want to hear it anyway, but it just makes such sense, and really like all power exists in this now moment, and we as a species, especially in this country, are caught up in this hypnotism of all the things that you just talked about, and I'm just hoping that people start to get it. People start to come to the truth, and I know what I'm going to feel like on election day and beyond. I'm going to feel like I feel right now, right here, this moment, knowing that all power exists in this moment. It cannot possibly exist in any other moment. Knowing that the architect, capital A, is continuing the architect's work, and though this world is incomplete, it is advancing towards completion. And behold, it is all very good. That's it. That's all I have.
That's all you have. It's completion. Now, what do you mean completion? Something is going to be completed, or a moment is going to be completed? I'm not understanding what you mean.
Well, I think the world right now, right here, right now, though it has its so-called issues, and it's advancing towards a completion, like society in this world, this human race, though we're imperfect, right? And we're looking for, as a species, we're looking for the truth. We may be swaying left, swaying right, and you can look around the world and see any number of things that you can point out and say that is bad and that's horrible. It's tempered with some very fine moments, moments of love, caring, philanthropy, altruism, the good things, right? And as we as a species step up and step into who we are, into our true selves, before thought, right? Before ego, way before ego, and independent desires. Once we realize that we are all one, I think that project will be complete. That's what I mean by completion. It's not a doomsday. I hope I didn't convey that. It's not a doomsday type of scenario, or even a revelation, although it may sound like that to somebody's ears. But I just think, like, right here, right now, the world is perfect as it is, right here, right now. And we can look around at any number of things again that seem to be imperfect and that we label as wrong. And I don't know. Now I'm babbling.
well, no, you're not babbling. And I thank you for that clarification. And when you were talking, I mean, I was getting chills. And what I believe is that however you see the world, that is just a reflection of what's going on inside of you. And you know what? Our time is going down. I would love for you to join again if you have the time. But so whatever anybody sees, whether it's oh, the world is all act up or the world is in order, that is a reflection of what's inside of you. That's a reflection of your programming. And oh, there he goes. Oh, yes. What a nice guy. Great voice too. Great radio voice. Great radio voice. I know you've heard that before.
I have, but I have to blame it on my mic, I think. I don't know.
Oh.
Or my dad. My dad had a voice.
So when you're not talking on the mic, you sound like this?
Not quite, my dear.
Oh. Woo-hoo! Woo!
I ain't said all that now.
Let's get real. Yeah.
Yeah, but as you see, I think it's so important what you're saying, because like we're all caught up, right? We're all caught up in this hypnotism of us and them, the two sides, which I could really care less about, right? Because I know what the truth is, right? And I just hope, let me just say this, I just wish people would just get quiet and just maybe focus on their breath for a little bit. Because I know we have this internal compass of what truth really is. We have to. It's impossible for us not to have that as the beings we are. I'm not talking about on this physical plane. I'm talking about the beings that we are that predate this physical body and will go on long after this physical body and perhaps this physical earth has extinguished itself. I think if we just get quiet and realize what is, we'll be better off.
Well,
I do.
No,
I have. I'm in recovery, and my whole story is like I'm in recovery for about a decade, and now I'm a recovery coach for people, and I help men and women who have got through recovery, like get to the next level where they're going in their lives. But a very powerful exercise, just a one-on-one exercise that I learned through working with folks who are incarcerated on re-entry programs and stuff, is getting out of the hypnotism of us and them. And sometimes when I go in, not sometimes, whenever I go in, I speak before specifically a group of men who are in re-entry programs. Everybody's a tough guy, and not maintaining eye contact unless they're wanting to make a specific point based on their ego, and just had to text them sorry. Okay. But anyway, what I do is I start out like this. I start with two people facing each other in a chair and just staring in each other's eyes for 5 minutes before I start any session that I do. And if they want to participate, they can. If they can't, then I'm probably not the guy that they want in their lives at that time. But something happens when two people sit across from each other and just look each other in the eye. No expression, no expectation. Just look each other in the eye and make that connection. And we've lost connection with each other. We've lost connection with ourselves. But when two people do that, they find the humanity in each, right? And then they see there's really no difference between them. And so just a really neat exercise that I do that I find very effective when there's perhaps two opposing points of view in life, philosophy, and politics.
Yeah, I love that. I love that exercise. I mean, when you said 5 minutes, I'm thinking of just if I was looking at somebody for 5 minutes, I'd probably start laughing. But because 5 minutes is a long time to stare at somebody, unless you're playing the game 1, 2, 3, stare out. But I digress. What I want to say is because I can feel your compassion for others and other people, and I wish they would get it. And this is how I've let all of that go. This other people and where they are. I really do believe that everybody is where they're supposed to be. Number two, I don't know if you've heard, but I say we're all avocados. And some of us it's just time. Some of us it's right, and some aren't. It's just not time. And there's nothing wrong with them, and there's nothing wrong. It's their time to be programmed. It's their time not to think that we're all one. And so it's my job and my responsibility. And if you want to come back, I would love to. If not, I understand. It's my job and my responsibility to accept the people that it's not time for, that they are under this program. It's just not their time. So now I've got to accept them without judgment and hug them and embrace them. But that's what I practice doing. That's what I practice. Oh, let me do this. Come back on. Yeah, and it's not an easy practice, and especially the one where we're all one. And you're right. That is the truth. That is the truth. And when these human bodies are no longer living, it's time for them to go. There's other dimensions. Energy doesn't die. So all of it. But while I'm here, my practice is to be an example of the universe, a human example of the universe. Not to say that I have it. Hey, I'm still practicing. But yeah, that's it.
But you're obviously very much on the path, and I say that because I know, like, I recognize truth instantaneously, and what you're saying, like, really resonates with me, and obviously it's apropos because of what's coming up this week, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I think of, like, my son, right? My own son who lives out in Tennessee, and
how old is he?
Thank you for asking. He's 34.
Oh, okay.
And he's in one of the camps, right? And let's just say the hue is red, right? And but he is caught up in hypnotism, and because of not thinking for himself. Very bright young man, extremely bright, but caught up in group dynamics of fitting into a certain ideology and not being willing to see the other side.
Well, let me offer this, Dad, because I have a son too. He's 39, so I'm older than you. Anyways, but let me offer this. Let me just offer this. All of this, everything that you said, because he's, groupthink, and he's whatever you said, all of those are stories. He is exactly where he's supposed to be at this time of his life. Now, I'm talking about let me just speak about my son. My son is exactly where he's supposed to be. There are tons of things I could say or suggest, but he's not my son. He's God's son.
Right.
So
He came through us, not from us. I understand that.
Yeah, and and his business is not my business, and it's my job to just trust that his journey is what he needs. Exactly. And it's not an easy one, but yeah, I've let him go. And so see, that's another program behavior is to be in someone else's business or notice someone else, even if it's my own son, but I'm out of his business. Unless he asks me a question, then I'm in his business.
So I guess I use that to two things. What I was getting at is a very rational young man who thinks for himself for the most part, and kind of got off. I think he got off track because of certain practices that he used to engage in his life, and he's now started to do other things, and that's where it's going. But the larger point is, if I can remember, there was 2 points. Oh yeah, you were saying about they're exactly where they should be. Is that correct?
Where they need to be, where they're supposed to be. Yeah, where they're supposed to be. Mm-hmm.
Right. So so when I say that all is right in the world and it's advancing towards completion, like people or humanity is exactly where it's supposed to be.
Yes.
And people say, well, no, they're doing that over there. And surely, the murder in that city can't be good. I'm not saying that's good, but I'm saying that as a species, as a whole, right now, we're exactly where we're supposed to be. And though imperfect, we are incomplete, but advancing towards completion. And I think that happens quicker when we step outside of the matrix, oracle, and we start to listen to truth, oracle, the truth that you've been speaking ever since you came on.
Mm-hmm. Well, and let me throw this at you. I do believe that we are perfect. There's out in nature. So, question is there's anything in nature that isn't perfect?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Do I think there's anything in nature that isn't perfect?
Yes.
No.
Yes. So I do think the same with humans. We are perfect in the moment. It is a perfect moment. It is a perfect. Yeah. So I don't say imperfect. That's just it's just different. But we're on the same page. We're on the same page. We're talking about the same thing. Oh, look at this. Look at the time. Oh, yes. We're on the same page, talking about the same thing, just different. And see, now I'm getting chills again. Because you're when you talk about the truth, I get a lot of, well, what is the truth? There's your truth, there's my truth. No, there is only one truth.
That's right. That's right.
One truth.
That's right. And that, you're right about that, because and I've adjusted, if you look at my books, my diaries, I think the actual statement is perfect and advancing towards completion. Like all is right in the world that is perfect and advancing towards completion. I contemplate the facts of social, political, and business life all from a high perspective. Behold, it is all very good. And
so I have a question for you. So in the universe, is there such a thing? Is there such a concept as completion in the universe?
Completion?
Mm-hmm.
In the universe itself, I want to say no, because it's all complete. It's whole, energetically. Like all that there is, this vast sinking substance, if you will, this universal intelligence, this God source energy. It is perfect and it is complete, but on this physical plane, advancing towards completion, it stands to reason that because this physical plane has a marker called time, right, which really doesn't exist, but in this physical dimension, it exists, obviously, like logic tells us that. And so there's a progression or evolution of all things on the physical plane. And things come into being out of that energetic field, right? They come into being and they have a stage. There's stages of life, right? And I believe that in this time-space reality, in this physical plane, there is such thing as completion.
Okay.
Or advancing towards completion. I don't know if that makes sense. Probably doesn't, but that's cool. That's why we're talking, right?
No, it makes sense. I understand what you're saying. But see, what I do when I said I'm a human example of the universe, I really identify with the universe, and so I don't. The word completion is a man-made term. It's a programmed term. It's not in the universe. The universe. It's not a universal concept. So, and if it's not a universal concept,
yeah.
I have a hard time of I scratch that. I don't gravitate that way. But I get what you're saying though, and you're right. This thing, time, it's an illusion, and all of that. I get it. And in the universe, it is an illusion. But here on Earth, there's no such thing as.
That's why I see. That's one of the reasons why I love Noon Vibe, right? Because I can step up hit that button and speak to someone like you or anyone, even with someone I consider has quote unquote opposing views, right? And I'm not here to teach or preach. I'm here to learn and maybe talk about some of the experiences that I've had. But what I do know, right, what I did know as I'm looking at your picture, I know that we're akin. I know that, like, you're my sister energetically. I know that you can be sitting in the silence where you're at. I'm sitting in the silence where I'm at, and we are both in that energy. We're all part of that and connected indelibly through that energy, through the universe. And it's cool, but there's always something, I think, to learn on this physical plane, right? Truths to be unfolded, and this is part of it. Like, this is how I get down. This is how I step up and step in, and I ask, and I present, the view that I see from my perception, albeit limited, right? I'm learning from it. I've been learning ever since. I saw the notification. I started listening to you, and then I just could not hit the button because, like, you've got your finger on it, especially when it comes to this election. No, seriously, you know you do, and that's cool. That's great, and I just wish more folks.
Well, no, and I'm going to let you go now. But you just made my whole morning. I just love chatting with you. But but let go of, I just wish these other people would. So what you're saying is, God, can you add a few more people to that? Can you add more people that are open and awake and enlightened? It's okay exactly the way it is. But I definitely understand, and that's coming from a heart. And you know what's interesting about the ego? The ego even uses good intentions. The ego even uses good intentions to get down. That's how deceptive it is. I mean, this, of course, what a wonderful wish, and what a wonderful a mission that I just wish other people would be open or more more aware, or be able to see that we're all one. I promise you, I understand it. But that ain't what's happening right now. And so what I have to say, because what you're saying is, I wish other people would be better, use the word better, use the label better. Is wherever it is, God, however you have it unfolding, I'm good with your plan. That's really what, if I say, you know what, I like this, but if more people could be more contented and more, no. God has it exactly the way God wants it. And who am I to say, hey, God, can you throw in some extra, million people to be open and aware and awake and conscious? Can you do that for me, please? Just a couple more million. I get it. I promise you. And I'm not making fun. I just want to just really hone in on that. Even the ego, even a good intention. Oh, the ego is just, and we just had Halloween. It can deceive. It is so deceptive to even use good, quote unquote, I'm using air quotes, good intentions. Now, I'm not listening to you, ego. I'm good exactly the way it is. I don't wish anybody anything other than what they're destined to receive, which is what's going to happen anyway. But let me just end this, because it's after 10 o'clock here at Pacific time. And I just want to share with you what to practice because we already talked about what to eliminate. Now what to practice so that you will be able, oh, thank you for calling me Oracle, by the way. Nobody's ever called me Oracle before. The big O. Wow, that's crazy. The big O. And by the way, Peter, while you were talking, I'm live on YouTube, and I was nodding my head up and down all the time, up and down. Yes, yes, yes. So I just want to let you know that I really do relate to you, and it's such a pleasure, and it's very refreshing not to have people just to agree or say, oh, Rebecca, not about that, but just to find and touch base with people that are open and are at a different level of awareness and consciousness. Okay, let me get to this list. What to practice. The second part of the practice, before, during, and after the election, is a persistent fervor that cultivates and establishes proven behaviors that have been, I already said proven, that will add to your peace and your contentment and your happiness. Get ready. Number one, prioritize contentment. Prioritize happiness. Prioritize peace. Make a commitment to it. Number one, not number two, not number three, not number four, number one, or not. Practice living consciously and self-aware during all moments. And one of the things about Peter, I mean, just instant, you can just tell. You can scratch that tell. You can sense someone that is open and someone that is not. Choose peace in all moments. So that means if you're having a conversation, you either are choosing between peace or drama. Am I going to create peace or drama with this conversation? Oh, this is really, really, really blasphemous. You ready for this? Back in 2016? I believe it was 2016. Anyway, it was an election time. And I just remember having the brilliant idea, listen to this, genius, having the brilliant idea of, because I wanted peace so bad, I said, whoever's company I was in, whether it was a Democrat or a Republican, and they would talk, well, you know, what party are you in, or who are you going to vote for? I would always, well, who are you going to vote for? What's your party? And I would always, oh, don't hate me, don't. And this is where you're going to get triggered. Whatever they are, that's exactly what I am. Whoever they're going to vote for is who I'm going to vote for. I don't care. I want peace over all of it. It doesn't matter who I vote for. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. I don't want to have conflict. I don't want to have a debate. I don't want to try to convince anybody else of having a side. That's not peaceful. That's not my business anymore. However, back in the day, it was my business. I could argue. I would argue it was one of my favorite pastimes, is to argue somebody wrong. Now, you can be right. Your party is right. Who you're voting for is right. And I'm telling you, that is a big difference. There was a student in my class last Wednesday, and she just happened to she was wearing a shirt, which was a little bit of a puzzle. You had to look at it and figure out which person she was supporting. And I said, oh, okay. And it was, of course, the opposite of my side. But and this happened a lot lately in the last year. I'm cool. You vote, you support whatever side you want to support. And I'm supporting you, supporting them. Okay, back to the list. Practice acceptance. Acceptance of whoever wins the presidential election. Practice the art of surrendering without resistance. Now, and this is what I wanted to tell Peter. I don't know if he's still listening, but Peter, you said something so profound. You said, and this is the lesson. I'm going to be, my vibration, my energy is not going to shift regardless of who wins or regardless of who loses. It's not even going to be a blip. It's just going to be the same vibe. The same vibe, win or lose. And see, I used that example a couple of weeks ago about if somebody gave me $1 million. Would my vibration change? Would my energy change? Oh, great, thanks. Oh, wow. No. Believe it or not, the practice is at this point where even if you handed me $1 million, that's just not going to do it. No. Okay, so let me get practice starving and humbling the ego. And I do that by just letting the ego know, because I have conversations with it all the time. letting the ego know that I know the truth, ego, and I know that what you're telling me is not the truth. And in fact, ego, let me know how this moment, because I know everything is here to serve me. Let me know how this moment is serving me. You want to hear silence? The ego will have nothing to say when you ask it, how is this benefiting me? How is this moment serving me? Because I know that it is, just like all other moments. Detachment, detach from people, detach from outcomes, detach from thinking you know what's best or what's right. You know and when I say you, I'm talking to your ego. Be at peace with uncertainty. Practice peace with uncertainty. And that's impossible to do if you don't practice trust. So that's it. Just practice trust. And if you don't trust, that's the number one reason why people worry, lack of trust. You can't trust and worry at the same time. So practice trust. Let's see, what else do I have on the list? Choose your focus and choose your perspective. What are you going to focus on? You can choose what you focus on. Witness more, identify less. Witness more, meaning stories, the thoughts I can witness, but I'm not going to identify with anything my ego brings to the table. Unless of course it says, that hat you really should comb your hair and you really do need to put on a different outfit. Plaids and paisleys do not match. I'll use the ego for that. Celebrate when you make a different decision. In other words, if you're a certain age and you've spent every 4 years acting, thinking, doing, being the same, practice doing something or focusing on something different. You have a chance in 2 days, 3 days, and practice patience and remain open to a variety of possibilities, ideas, and experiences. Again, this country has a destiny. I'm not in control of it. And the destiny is going to get played out. What can I do? What can I practice? I practice accepting, I practice trusting, I practice knowing that everything is in order. And that's all I can do. Wow. I really thought that this show was going to be a short show. I said, I'll just go on for a half hour. And look at this, an hour and 20 minutes later, with the technical difficulties. All right, well, that is the end of today's show, believe it or not. Thank you so much, Peter, for contributing today. Today's show was really profound, appreciated, grateful for your words and your openness and your sharing. Thank you. Well, that's the end of today's show. Thank you for listening to Reality Spirituality. Is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And of course, I don't have my theme song because there's technical difficulties. Oh, this is the second time it's happened in 2 months. Radio is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and on Saturday at 9:15 live on YouTube and on Noon Vibe. I'm live with my son. It's Pacific Standard Time. It's called Mother and Son Making Sense Out of Nonsense, plus more. My website is RebeccaNorrington.com. Follow me on Twitter at RL Norrington. I'm on LinkedIn, and my Instagram handle is Reality Spirituality. My YouTube channel is it's growing, and it's getting put together slowly but surely. It's a work in progress, just like all of us. And just feel free to check out the videos on the YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. My first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, can be purchased on Amazon. But the latest book, the one that's out now, it's called, I'm holding it up. It's called Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. And that's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Lulu. And until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who you are. You are conscious energy, which is always evolving, always changing, always growing. Love is patient and love is kind. Be patient and be kind to yourself by accepting yourself in every moment. Be your own best friend. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. That's Abraham Hicks, and you've been listening to Reality Spirituality Radio with yours truly, happiness specialist, inner peace practitioner, now Oracle too, Rebecca Norrington. Happiness is a practice skill. Contentment is a practice skill. Inner peace is a practiced skill. I promise you, the more you practice, the more peace you're going to find. And your experience in every moment, every waking moment, reflects on what you practice. Thank you for listening. Have a conscious week. Later, alligators.